They called her Shadow Walker, but not as a compliment. Army Sergeant Elena Martinez had been dismissed, mocked, and sidelined for 8 months. When 24 Army Rangers found themselves surrounded by 200 enemy fighters in the rugged mountains of Pakistan, every qualified sniper was either dead or pinned down. That's when someone remembered the woman they'd been ignoring. What happened next took exactly 47 minutes and 31 shots. But here's what the classified reports won't tell you about those 31 bullets that traveled over 1,300 meters through howling mountain winds. Mountain winds, bone-chilling cold, automatic weapons fire echoing off granite cliffs. An American Ranger team surrounded. Ammunition nearly exhausted. Blood-streaked faces. Desperate eyes scanning for escape routes that simply didn't exist. One soldier whispered hoarsely, "This is it. No air support coming. We're already ghosts." Elena Martinez, 28, possessed auburn hair pulled back in a regulation bun and a compact frame that suggested endurance despite her smaller stature. Growing up in Montana's rugged wilderness terrain, she had spent countless hours hunting with her grandfather across unforgiving alpine faces. Those expeditions taught her to read altitude wind patterns, practice infinite patience, and understand that precision mattered infinitely more than speed. When she enlisted, her dream was crystal clear: become a military sniper. But the unit had different plans. "That rifle's too heavy for you, Martinez." Her platoon sergeant's dismissive tone had become as familiar as reveille. "You're better suited for communications work. Stick to what you know. Maybe next time, when we need someone for the radio." The constant dismissal created a cold patience inside her, like steel being forged through repeated heating and cooling. Each "maybe next time" and "stick to what you know" added another layer to her determination. What should have been a 25-minute extraction became a desperate fight for survival against an entire company that had been waiting in ambush. The Ranger team, split into 4 fire teams, tried to establish defensive positions among the rubble of abandoned factory structures. But superior numbers and coordinated tactics forced them into an increasingly small perimeter with limited cover and no escape routes. Radio chatter told the story of a mission falling apart. Alpha Team pinned down. Multiple machine gun positions. Bravo taking heavy fire from elevated positions. Charlie Team, we've got RPGs coming in from 4 directions. Sergeant Thompson's voice cut through the static with growing desperation. "Base, this is Falcon 7. We are surrounded and heavily outnumbered. Ammunition running critically low. Request immediate evacuation." The response crushed every hope they had maintained. Falcon 7, negative on air support. Weather conditions prevent helicopter operations. You are on your own until dawn. Dawn was 8 hours away. Elena sat with the communications team, her Remington rifle across her knees, listening to her teammates slowly being overwhelmed by an enemy that had planned this engagement perfectly. One soldier whispered what everyone was thinking: "We won't last 45 minutes against this." The mathematics were brutal and simple. 24 Americans against more than 200 well-armed, well-positioned fighters who controlled every advantage. Elena's internal war began raging with intensity that matched the external combat. If she followed orders, she would remain in the rear area, maintaining radio contact while watching her teammates get systematically eliminated. If she broke protocol, she could attempt to reach the northern ridge she had identified during mission planning, the position that had been dismissed as tactically impractical. But breaking orders meant risking everything on her own capabilities that had never been tested under real combat conditions. Fear crashed over her in waves. What if she missed critical shots? What if she gave away her position to enemy counter-snipers? What if her attempt to help actually made the situation worse for everyone? But anger provided fuel for courage. She remembered every dismissive comment, every condescending laugh, every assumption that she wasn't capable of contributing to real combat operations. Her grandfather's voice echoed through the chaos. "When everyone says it's over, Mija, that's when your shot matters most." Elena made her decision with crystal clarity. She keyed her radio one final time. Communications maintaining position. She reported, knowing it was a necessary lie. Then she grabbed her rifle, spare ammunition, and rangefinder and began the treacherous climb toward the ridge that might save her teammates' lives. The ascent was everything her teammates had predicted. Steep, exposed, and brutally difficult to navigate while carrying 40 pounds of sniper equipment. Sharp rocks toward her hands and knees. Mountain wind carried the sounds of intensifying combat from the valley below. Each meter climbed represented a question that might determine everyone's fate. Am I climbing toward their salvation or just postponing the inevitable? But Elena had studied this terrain during mission preparation. She knew every rock formation, every potential route, every angle that would provide concealment from enemy observation. As she climbed, automatic weapons fire continued echoing from the factory compound. Each burst meant her teammates were still alive, still fighting, but also still dying one by one as their ammunition dwindled and enemy pressure increased. Elena reached the ridge line just as Thompson's voice crackled through her earpiece. All units, prepare for final defensive positions. We're almost out of options. She settled into a prone shooting position among the granite boulders. Her Remington rifle steady on its bipod. Through her scope, the compound spread out below like a deadly chessboard where her teammates were trapped in an impossible game. She could see every enemy position, every muzzle flash, every tactical advantage that the insurgents had established through careful planning. But she could also see something else. Opportunities that ground-level perspective made impossible to identify. Elena Martinez had spent her entire military career being overlooked and underestimated. Now, for the first time, being invisible was exactly what the situation demanded. Her finger found the trigger, and she began the most important shooting of her life. 24 lives depended on her ability to deliver precision fire from a position that everyone had dismissed as tactically impossible. The ridge that was supposed to be too difficult to reach had become the only place where victory was even remotely possible. Elena whispered the same prayer her grandfather had taught her before every hunting expedition. Make it count. Then she began systematically changing the course of a battle that everyone had already written off as unwinnable. Thompson was reaching for his radio to initiate surrender negotiations when the impossible happened. Crack! A single rifle shot echoed across the valley from high above their position. The heavy machine gun that had been systematically destroying their defensive perimeter went silent instantly. Every ranger in the valley froze in stunned disbelief. Who the hell fired that? Thompson demanded, spinning around to identify the source of salvation that couldn't possibly exist. Before anyone could respond, another shot rang out, then another. But the most incredible aspect wasn't her accuracy. It was her positioning. Elena had somehow climbed a nearly vertical rock face in darkness, carrying heavy sniper equipment, and established a firing position that provided clear lines of sight to threats that ground-level perspectives made invisible. Thompson watched through his scope as Elena shifted positions between shots, never firing from the same location twice, never giving enemy counter-snipers an opportunity to locate and neutralize her. She moved through that rocky terrain like she had been born there, using shadows and stone formations for concealment in ways that seemed almost supernatural. Her voice came through the radio with calm professionalism that contrasted sharply with the chaos surrounding them. Shadow Overwatch to Falcon 7. Move southeast toward the factory. I'll provide cover. Thompson realized he was witnessing something that would be studied in military academies for decades. A single operator changing the outcome of an entire engagement through perfect application of marksmanship skills under extreme pressure. The tide of battle was turning with each shot Elena fired. Enemy fighters who had been confident in their overwhelming numerical advantage began withdrawing to more defensible positions. The coordinated assault that had trapped the Americans dissolved into confused, scattered resistance as key personnel disappeared one by one. Elena's methodical elimination of high-value targets was breaking the backbone of their entire tactical plan. But she wasn't finished yet. Through her scope, Elena identified the ultimate target. Thompson watched through his binoculars as the enemy commander dropped instantly, his radio scattering across the rocks. The remaining fighters, seeing their leader fall to an invisible sniper who could reach them from impossible distances, began a panicked retreat into the surrounding mountains. Within minutes, the valley fell completely silent except for wind whistling through broken factory structures. Elena Martinez had just saved 24 lives with fewer than 31 carefully placed shots fired from position that everyone had dismissed as tactically impossible. As extraction helicopters finally arrived at dawn, Thompson couldn't stop staring at the northern ridge where their salvation had appeared. The woman they had spent months underestimating had just demonstrated marksmanship skills that belonged in military legend. But perhaps more importantly, she had shown them that their assumptions about tactical possibilities were as wrong as their assumptions about personal capabilities. Elena Martinez climbed aboard the helicopter without fanfare, her equipment secured, her demeanor as professionally calm as always. But Thompson noticed something different in her eyes. The doubt was gone, replaced by quiet confidence that came from proving herself when proof mattered most. Dawn broke over the mountains as extraction helicopters touched down at Forward Operating Base Charlie. Elena Martinez stepped onto the landing zone, her uniform still marked with mountain grime and dried blood from the rocky climb. The Remington rifle slung across her shoulder like an extension of herself. Word of the miraculous rescue had already spread through military communication channels with the speed that extraordinary stories always traveled among professionals who understood their significance. Personnel emerged from buildings across the compound, drawn by whispers of an impossible tale. A single sniper had saved an entire ranger team from annihilation. The same soldiers who had mocked her marksmanship training now stood in respectful silence. Thompson approached first, his face showing a complex mixture of gratitude, shame, and newfound respect. Martinez, he began, then stopped. How do you thank someone for saving 24 lives with perfect precision under impossible conditions? Elena met his gaze with steady composure. Sergeant, what you did up there, I've never seen anything like it. The precision, the positioning, the tactical awareness. He shook his head slowly. We owe you everything. Then Colonel Williams did something that shattered every assumption about military recognition and personal achievement. He raised his right hand in a crisp formal salute, the kind of recognition reserved for acts of extraordinary valor that transcended normal performance standards. Elena returned the salute with equal precision, her spine straight, her expression reflecting years of training and determination that had finally found proper recognition. When both hands were lowered, Colonel Williams spoke in a voice that carried across the silent compound. What you accomplished last night will be studied in Army Special Operations training programs for decades to come. 31 confirmed enemy kills at ranges exceeding 900 meters in mountain conditions under extreme pressure with 0 friendly casualties. He paused, letting the significance register completely. More importantly, this operation demonstrates that tactical innovation and personal initiative can overcome impossible odds when applied by someone with proper training and absolute dedication. Elena finally spoke, her voice clear and strong. Just doing my duty, sir. Following the training you provided and applying it when circumstances required action. Colonel Williams almost smiled, an expression so rare that several personnel would remember this moment for the rest of their careers. Martinez, your assigned duty was communication support and rear area security. What you did was redefine the tactical possibilities available to small unit operations. From that moment forward, nobody called her Shadow Walker ever again. Elena Martinez had taken 31 shots that changed everything. The story spread through military circles like wildfire. A single Army Ranger, dismissed and underestimated by her peers, had climbed an impossible ridge in darkness and systematically eliminated 200 enemy fighters from positions everyone believed tactically impossible. Her precision marksmanship under extreme pressure had saved 24 lives. But more than that, Elena Martinez had proven that determination skill, and tactical innovation could overcome any odds when applied with absolute dedication. The woman they had mocked for months had just redefined what was possible in small unit operations. Her legend would inspire future generations of soldiers who refused to accept limitations others placed on them. Years later, instructors at the Army Ranger School would use Elena Martinez's operation as the definitive case study in tactical innovation under extreme pressure. Her climb up that northern ridge became known as the Martinez Maneuver, taught to every new class of snipers who entered advanced training. The shooting range at Forward Operating Base Charlie now bears a small bronze plaque near the position where Elena used to practice. It reads, "Dedicated to Sergeant Elena Martinez, who proved that determination and skill can overcome any limitation others place upon you. The rifle is only as effective as the warrior who wields it." Her story spread beyond military circles, inspiring countless individuals who had been underestimated or dismissed. Elena Martinez became a symbol of perseverance, proving that true capability isn't measured by what others expect from you, but by what you're willing to do when everything depends on your actions. The same soldiers who had mocked her training sessions now spoke of her with reverence. Elena Martinez had redefined what was possible through sheer determination, tactical brilliance, and 31 perfectly placed shots that saved 24 lives and changed military doctrine forever. Today, Elena Martinez continues to serve as a senior instructor at the Army Sniper School, passing on her knowledge to the next generation of marksmen. Her students know her as the woman who redefined what was possible through determination and skill. When new recruits arrive, thinking they know everything about long-range shooting, Elena quietly takes them to the range. She sets up her familiar Remington rifle, the same one she carried up that northern ridge in Pakistan, and demonstrates the fundamentals of precision marksmanship. Sometimes a young soldier will ask about the scar on her left hand from the rocky climb that night. Elena simply smiles and says, "Every shot matters, but the shots that count most are the ones you take when everyone says it's impossible." Her grandfather's words echo through every lesson she teaches. When everyone says it's over, Mija, that's when your shot matters most. Elena Martinez learned that truth on a ridge in Pakistan, where she saved 24 lives with 31 shots. Now she passes that wisdom forward, ensuring that future generations understand that true capability isn't limited by what others expect from you, but only by what you're willing to do when everything depends on your actions. The legend of Elena Martinez lives on in every student who refuses to accept limitations others place upon them.